It is
Exactly.
what it is. It ain't my choice of drug, but you know,
Yeah, like I say,
hey,
I'm just not against people for doing it. If that's what they want to do, that's on them. So, guys, as you
right.
guys can see, I have Sierra on the phone, who is Rayvon's legal guardian, who is actually Ta'naejah's brother. And you guys saw that news story that I did, so I'd like to thank her for being on the phone with us. What I'm gonna do real quick is to recap for the people that might not remember that story, and if you don't have time to go back and watch right now, then I'll replay that story for you. But before I do that, I'm gonna give you guys the fair usage so that way I can fairly play this video. And if you guys would, if you come in, please hit the thumbs up, okay? Hit the thumbs up. We only got about 89 people watching, which is not bad. Hit that thumbs up so more people would know that we're live. What's up, Kingdom Minded? Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Believe it or not, Sierra, I actually have to do this every single show because that's how much I get flagged over here. It's crazy. And I've been able to protect
I
the channel.
see.
I've been able to protect the channel pretty good, so it's a challenge, man. It
Okay,
really is.
good.
Especially when we got assholes in my chat all the time. It's crazy, man.
There's
When
gonna
we're
be
gonna,
trolls everywhere.
yeah, we're gonna flag you. I don't care, flag. I'm a protest it. Here we go. But here's the original news article.
Anaya, 5-year-old Ta'naejah McCloud suffered a similar fate. That child, too, also allegedly killed by her mother and her mother's partner. In both cases, suspected abuse was reported to CFS. In Ta'naejah's case, her brother reported it over and over again.
It's been a year and a half now and she gone. Like, I can't see my sister no more.
Family and friends of Ta'naejah McCloud say after jury selection is over, they will be packing that courtroom every single day because they say they want justice. And tonight, that's exactly what they prayed for.
We just pray for justice for Ta'naejah. I pray that the right people are picked to be on that jury.
Prayers for a little girl gone too soon.
She may not be here in the physical, but we will forever keep her alive with us.
Tuesday, friends and family of Ta'naejah McCloud lifted up their little angel in prayer just a few hours after the jury selection began for her trial.
You have to relive the tragedy that occurred. You have to relive the same pain that everyone felt when Ta'naejah was taken away. But it's sweet because we finally get to see justice happen.
The 5-year-old was allegedly killed by her mother, Tequila Crump, and her mother's partner, Ursula Owens. Rayvon Owens, Ta'naejah's older brother, says he witnessed the abuse and alerted the authorities. Now he has to do the unthinkable.
And now I got to testify against my mother, and I know no child ever wants to send their mother to jail, but for me it's the right thing to do, and it's something that I'm going to do because I'm going to get justice for my sister, Ta'naejah McCloud.
Despite his struggles, the 16-year-old says memories of his sister helps keep him going.
I really miss my sister, and I truly do love her. And I'm glad she up there in heaven, like I know she is, coloring away with God. I know she probably see me right now.
Jury selection for this trial continues through tomorrow. In Cleveland, Amanda Van Allen, News 5.
Anaya,
Wow. I gotta tell you, Sierra, every time I hear that, man, that gives me chills. It really does. How do you feel about that? Or do you want to kind of tell your story?
You know, at first, when Rayvon was about to testify, and they brought it to our attention that he had to. You know, being his parent, his legal guardian, I really didn't want him to because I know the psychological damage that can cause. But at the end of the day, you know, it was his choice, and he decided to do the right thing. I was extremely proud of him because I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't have did it, you know, and that's a lot of courage coming from a 16-year-old boy.
Absolutely.
Like I told him, I hate to be in your shoes. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, but he did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, guys, as a reminder, this is Rayvon, the boy who is the brother of Ta'naejah. This is his legal guardian on the phone, and I have Sierra on the phone with us. And I did this story, and the reason why we're on the phone today is because I had recently you had reached out to me. And I thought that was pretty cool because I've had some people reach out to me. Some people are familiar with the Ta'naejah Clark story, as I was telling you earlier before we went live. that I had crazy ass Devontae Clark hit me up and he wanted to cuss me out and all that kind of stuff. So when I saw your message, I was like, oh my God, like what is she gonna say to me? Like I didn't know what it was about, but I read it. Do you mind if I read some of it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, but she had hit me up and she said that she said, hello, I'm his legal I'm Rayvon Owens' legal guardian. Said Rayvon is the brother of Ta'naejah McCloud, the 5-year-old that was brutally murdered by his biological mom and by his biological mom. I saw your YouTube video and I would first like to thank you for sharing the story. You mentioned that it's not the job of oh God. You gotta tell me the how do you pronounce that county?
Cuyahoga.
You mentioned that it's not the job of Cuyahoga Children Family Services to protect these children. It's the parents, and I agree. But in a system that's supposed to protect and provide, when the parents cannot, then that's when it's their job. And I partially agree with that. So I definitely want to try to catch you. On that and catch your thoughts and your feelings and kind of see if we can find some middle ground on that. There we go.
Right.
Go ahead and time that person out since you keep begging for my attention. Anyway, so Rayvon is thriving just fine in my home. He's been under my care since he was 5 years old. No man in my household, but he maintains a 4.41 grade point average. Guys, I want y'all to hear that again. Got about 114 people watching. Hit the thumbs up. I want y'all to hear that again. No man in the household, but he maintains a 4.4 GPA. He won Ohio Youth of the Year and met with State Senator Kenny Yuko and plays every sport like a normal teenager. For him to come from a loving home with 2 women, I don't think that he's doing bad at all. Rayvon has a father, and that father chose to not be active. I could go on about your YouTube show, but that's not here or there. Some very important information was missed, and of course, us being the type of couple that we are, it's assumed that he's not thriving well because there's not a man in my household. When he has plenty of male figures, or when he has plenty of male figures. In regards to you saying a man will save his day or something along those lines. But anyway, thank you for sharing the Ta'naejah story because that's what it's all about, right? So far, so good?
That's where we at.
So
when you read it, I kind of came off stank, but I hope you ain't get that, perception of me.
Okay. I got you. And the only thing, it was only a couple things that I corrected in there. And I told her, thank you for reaching out and clearing some things up for me. And I said, I 100% agree that he's definitely doing well. I think I mentioned that during the show. And I said, I can tell that this young boy is going to be special. I actually said that he's going to be a senator. He could freaking be, something like really, really big and impactful. Like it's just something about that kid's spirit, which is what really drew me to make some of the comments that I made. And I said, initially, I didn't know the actual status of his living situation. So I had to speculate on some things, especially with the fact that his sister was murdered. I thought that maybe a random family member had stepped in. But of course, the news article didn't clarify that. I mean, there was nothing you could read that would have clarified any of that. So one of the first things that I noticed was that he was, shoot. Hold on, I just lost your call. All right. I lost your call. I know we're going to have some issues with this thing. So, okay.
Okay.
But one of the first things that I noticed was that he was very well spoken and very intelligent. So I was heartbroken when I heard, and I don't know if you guys heard when I did the story last time. God, man, you motherfuckers don't give up, do you? Hey, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Every time y'all see Jacob pop up in the chat, time him out. He gonna keep coming back, so just time him out. It's very irritating. Can y'all do that? I'm waiting on one of my moderators to hook that up. Don't block, just time out. Reason for that is so that way when he comes back in, he'll have to either come back in under another account or he'll just keep getting timed out and he's gonna build up the views. He ain't figured that out. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I was heartbroken when we actually watched the court appearance that he made, and the fact that the defense tried to make Rayvon seem like that he did something wrong, that he must not have been that concerned about his sister, because what actually happened, based on what I've heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this was one of those weekends where he was staying at home with his mom.
Right.
And because I think he's at his mom's house, his biological mom's house, every other weekend, right?
Right.
Okay. Based on what I understand, he was sent out of the house, and him and his friend were over, and they sent him down to the McDonald's or something like that. So they do what any kid would do. Well, first of all, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm speaking from a father's standpoint. I don't know any good parents that would just send their kids off somewhere. Me personally, I take my kids anywhere that they need to go. Me personally. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, I agree with you.
Okay. I think it's horrible parenting on her part in this particular situation, especially to send him off and send his friend off and just be like, boom, y'all gone. They went to McDonald's. They own, they snapping photos, eating food, whatever it is that they're doing. So from what I understand, they came back and there was some abuse that was going on with this little girl, right?
Right.
So what it is for people that don't understand, 5-year-old Ta'naejah is still learning her body at this age. I mean, any kid is still learning their body at this adolescent age, okay?
Right.
So what happened was Ta'naejah had an accident on herself. She had right there, the little girl that y'all see on my screen. She peed on herself. This is what babies do. She's a baby to me. I'm sorry, she is. She's not grown. She's not cognizant and aware of her body like that. She's still learning, and it is the responsibility of the parents to make sure that the children learn these essential functions of life, in my opinion. So to sit there and take out on a kid and get upset with a 5-year-old for peeing on themselves, I think is dead ass wrong. Okay?
Now, this is what started the altercation. Could you tell me I can correct you?
Absolutely.
What started Ursula to start beating Ta'naejah was because Ta'naejah, it was a fan in Ta'naejah's room. A fan.
Yes.
So Ta'naejah had the fan plugged up. Her mother, Ursula, had asked her, who told you to plug this fan up? Why did you plug it up? And Ta'naejah was like, well, you told me to bring my room and plug it up because it was hot in here. So something clicked in Ursula's mind where she was like, no, you a liar. I didn't tell you to plug up the fan and, et cetera, et cetera. So Ta'naejah's mother, Tequila, had went on to scorn, Ta'naejah's like, oh, you have to quit lying on mommy. If mommy said she didn't tell you, if she didn't tell you to do it, then I know that she's not lying on you. But in all actuality, she was, because a child's not going to lie. A child, if I tell my son to take the fan into his room, he going to automatically know to plug it up because I think his room is hot, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of Tequila bagging her daughter and saying, well, maybe you did tell her to do it, she jumped on Ursula's side. So once Ta'naejah was like, well, no, you told me to plug it up, that's when the beating had started. The night prior before, because it was the incident when she had passed, and the night prior before, Ta'naejah had an accident that day. So Ursula had made her get a bleach-soaked rag and clean the urine off the floor.
And that's what my brother Jason Gunn just said in the chat. And because in the news article, it did say that the little girl had wiped and she eventually passed out from inhaling it. And what my brother Jason Gunn eloquently put like a week ago, and he let me know, he said bleach and urine equals deadly gas.
Right.
Which I didn't even know that. Were you aware of that?
No, I didn't know that. I mean, I know bleach by itself is something you don't even want to breathe in. I wouldn't want to smell bleach unless I'm cleaning my dishes. But yeah, so Ursula, when the baby had passed out, Ursula had told Tequila, like, it smelled like she got bleach on her breath. Now I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Remember in the article, they were saying that Ta'naejah wasn't getting any water.
Yes,
You can't tell me
yes.
that child didn't drink that bleach.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Wow, man.
So the actual incident that caused her to murder Ta'naejah was the fact that Ursula told her to plug in a fan. Then that morning when she woke up and the fan was plugged in, it was, oh, well, no, I didn't tell her to do that. She's a liar.
Let me, wow, man. Let me say this as a reminder for you guys, and let me say what's up to my brother Tommy Sotomayor, who's in the chat right now, man. Per hands up for my brother Tommy Sotomayor, if y'all would please show him some love, man. And I appreciate him for being here and supporting us, and even giving us this opportunity to even be here for us to even have this conversation. So I got to say thank you publicly, as always. Thank you. So for the people that don't understand, what actually happened in that situation was because, like I say, for a child that hasn't been potty trained well enough to the point to really be familiar with her body, she has accidents on herself. We could say pretty regularly. Wouldn't that be the case?
Right.
So in order to remedy this, instead of the mother teaching her about her body and how to and when to go to the bathroom and training herself to know when to go to the bathroom, what they did was they just stopped giving her liquids.
Right. And which I think is backwards. And if the mother was paying attention, that little girl was going to the bathroom by herself and no accidents when she stayed in Virginia. Mm-hmm. She come to Cleveland and all of a sudden she can't hold her pee. No, that's a sign of abuse.
Absolutely. And another thing that they did point out in the news article is that they said that for her age, this little girl was severely underweight.
Yes.
Now, for the people that have watched the show plenty of times, how many times just in the past, I'd say in the past 60 days, the past month, have I done stories where children have been malnourished and underfed, or if not fed at all, they've been starved out basically. They're emaciated to the point to where you can physically look at them and tell, like, wait a minute, this kid's body ain't growing the way it's supposed to. And I'm just like, and you know what, Sierra, are you still with me? Make sure I don't lose your call.
I'm here.
Okay, just make sure I didn't lose your call. I could look at some of the photos and I could tell, I'm like, man, this is a small girl. And I couldn't tell whether it was because of maybe the lack of nourishment or if she was just small in general.
So when that baby came to Cleveland, she was the most chunky, beautiful, dark-skinned baby you will ever want to see. She was chunky, where you want to, you know how grandma squeezed your cheeks?
Yeah.
That's what you wanted to do when you saw her.
Yeah.
Then over time that she was here, and I was like, you know, this baby, she getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Then, you know, started calling CPS. Rayvon got thrown down a flight of stairs by his biological mother because they was upstairs, throwing her against the room. Rayvon had snuck her some food, and his biological mother, who was Ursula, found food and threw him down the flight of stairs. And as you can see, not trying to be rude, looking at this picture, both of them are healthy females. They eat, and they eat swell.
Look,
and for that girl to be as small as she was, you can look at Rayvon and tell Rayvon he eats well.
You could call that out, and there's people been calling that out in the chat. Like, it's kind of comical. We have to find some level of levity in these conversations because they're extremely difficult. I mean, there's not much comical about us losing, you know, one of our, you know, we're already having so many issues in the black community when it comes to us taking each other out. And it's so funny how, right, you know, we point out situations where Black Lives Matter will come out and say, hey guys, Black Lives Matter. When a police officer takes a black life, and they will go out and they'll protest, they'll protest all year. They will never let you forget about some of these kids. They'll never let you forget about Trayvon Martin. You know, they'll never let you forget about, you know, some of these other men that have been murdered, you know, by the police. Granted, we get it. We understand that. But you're talking about one person here and there, you know, kind of spread out, but we're not worried about all the young men that are killing themselves in Chicago by the dozens every single weekend. And we're not worried about parents that are murdering their own children. It's like we're cannibalizing our, like when they say you eat your young, that's essentially what this is.
Right.
Like how can you, you know, lay down with a man, conceive with a man, carry a child for 9 months in your body. Your body has to protect this child to come out. This child comes out. Sorry, I'm getting worked up. Let me calm down. This child comes out, and it is your God-given responsibility to make sure that this small human being can eat, breathe, live, be clean, be nourished, to be taken care of. So the whole crazy thing is for this is one of the messages that I preach, and I want to know if you agree with what I'm saying here. One of the messages that I preach is that women have all the power in the black community right now. When it comes to the legal system, when it comes to the money, when it comes to the benefits, when it comes to the accountability, they have the least accountability with the most benefit. So we, you know, at some point,
I agree with that.
So at some, and that's great that you say that. So at some point, black men like me have said, okay, fine, we will acquiesce to that. That's what it is. It is what it is. So where do we go from here to work with each other? So I've always still encouraged women, as much as I hate the fact that some of the things that our sisters that represent us do that make us all look bad, I still say that they have an innate power of life and death. You have this awesome responsibility, which can also garner an awesome reward. So for a person to not only not honor that, but to turn around and abuse it, like I don't understand how a person can literally like take something that you created and hated that goddamn much. I'm just lost. I'm lost with that.
Right. I agree with you there. That point, I really agree. Now, as far as Ta'naejah's father is supposed to be in jail for rape. Now, this is how Ta'naejah was conceived.
Wow. Okay.
Her
wait.
mother,
Yeah, I want to hear. I want to hear this.
This is from her mother's aspect. I wasn't there. I didn't lay up with her, so I honestly don't know.
Understood.
But this is what's coming from her mother when we asked her, you know, where is Ta'naejah's father? Where is the dad? Then that was her thing. You know, he's currently incarcerated for the birth of Ta'naejah. You know, that's how Ta'naejah was conceived. So,
you say that's why he was in jail?
Yes, he's in jail for rape, for raping Tequila.
Oh.
Ta'naejah is the product of a rape.
Okay. Can I be abrasive for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, Lord Jesus Christ, I'm gonna go to hell. I'm about to go to hell for this, but I'm about to do it anyway. All right. So for the people that's going to hell, I'll see y'all there. I want y'all to look at this. I'm gonna put this photo on the camera, and I'm gonna show you guys this photo of Ta'naejah's mom. And I want you guys to think about this. There is I'm assuming he's a black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to be a little bit of an asshole for a moment. Because this is what her father raped. Like, is it getting that bad out there in the world? I mean, like, I know some of us have difficulty. Some of us aren't, you know, are a little challenged in the looks department. I get it. You know, there's some people that wouldn't date me because I might be a little challenged in the looks department. Maybe I can't get rid of this beer belly I got. I get it. But Lord Jesus, like this woman, look, I'm sorry, but this woman looked like a dude I used to play high school football with, like on the offensive line. I had to steal one of Tommy's jokes for a moment. So Tommy, I'm sorry if you're watching the show. But I literally could have swore that I was standing on the sideline when the other team called timeout. I could have swore it was this nigga right here.
I can't. Like I said, this is from her. It hasn't been confirmed, so I can't say whether it's true or not. But it is sad to say, being in the gay community, as long as I've been in, you will see some females that sneak and get some dick and cry that they got raped afterwards.
Oh, wow. Oh, no. I need to hear that again.
Yeah, I said it.
Wow.
I said it. In some cases, you will catch females that will sneak, get knocked up, then want to come back with the whole, I was raped situation. Now, I'm not making fun of it. I'm not saying it's not true, but you will see that, and it's common. Then you will see the father and be like, well, why you ain't in jail? And the father be like, what you talking about? So in that situation, I can't say whether it happened. If it happened to her, I'm sorry, but it have not been confirmed. This is what she have told people.
Let me point this out, because this is the thing. Like, I'm a DJ primarily, and I actually got a party I got to do this weekend. As everybody should know, Pride Weekend is usually the weekend after Juneteenth, right? In most places, right, is when they celebrate, gay pride. So I'm all with that, and I'm not against anybody making their decisions for what it is that they want to do and how they want to live their life. We not in your bedroom. We not in your homes. You got to be happy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not against that. But one thing that I pay attention to are numbers. And I like that show on ESPN, Numbers Don't Lie. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but all they primarily do is they point out and they say, these are what the numbers tell us. We're not going to put too many of our personal opinions out there. Or if we do, then we're going to base it on the fact that this is actually what statistics tell us about this particular thing. I don't know if you know this or not. Do you know that the lesbian community, our studs and our femmes, are ranked the highest for domestic violence in any community? Did you know that?
I can believe it. I'm not shocked.
The highest level of domestic violence in the homes comes from women relationships with each other.
And I'm not shocked about that. You get some people in the community that's like, oh no, they community bashing. No, the truth is the truth. A lot of these people that's in the community, let me keep my opinion to myself. Keep going, bro.
oh no, you're good. And like I say, I always want to encourage you. I want you to speak from your heart. And I don't want you to have a filter. But if there's some things that you want to omit, I get it. But like I say, just basically saying it's not unusual to see a situation like this where parents could be abusive. Well, okay, I'll say this. I'm actually still surprised. I would expect them to maybe have some issues with each other physically. It's like I said, you could definitely tell they both probably played, rugby or something. I expect for them to be tackling each other, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I get it. They look like they're dressed in football pads. Look, I'm going to stop making the jokes, okay? I would expect for them to maybe have some issues with each other, because that's the nature of most of those type of relationships whenever you have a lot of estrogen there. It's just like when you have too much testosterone. How many times, look, we probably roughly about the same age. How many times have you ever been to a club? If you go to a club, have you been in a club where it's too many dudes in there and you just feel there's really, really bad energy in the club?
Like a fight about to break out.
You can smell it. You can taste it in the air. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I look at my watch. I'm like, it's about time to go. Well, that's because it's not meant to work that way. You ain't supposed to have, a whole bunch of dudes crammed up with each other. It's supposed to be a good mixture of folks. So that, to kind of break up some of that, some of that energy. And that's all we're talking about is the balance. So whenever you have balance in the home, when it comes to, biological mother, biological father, all it basically means is that there is an increased odd of balance, of having balance there. So when you have the imbalance, it doesn't make it impossible. Clearly, as you've proven with raising Rayvon, it's not impossible to raise a good, solid human being to go on and produce more solid human beings. It's not impossible.
Right.
But the way that we're going and the odds of it actually points out to say that the way that we're going, you know, as a whole community, could be in a direction that might not be productive for us as a whole.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, and that's why I had to give you so much credit, because I know the odds that you are up against. And those odds are basically saying like, hey, you know, the statistics say that this isn't going to work out. The statistics say that this little boy is going to miss out on essential things that he should be getting from a man. But based on what I've heard from him, it seems like I said, with a 4.41 GPA, I think the best I ever did, I think in school shit was like, my mother was a teacher. Both my parents went to college. You know what I'm saying? And I think I might have gotten a 3.6. The little boy, the young man is very bright. So when you reached out, I'm like, clearly, like, this person has to get the credit. Like, and this is the other part about what I wanted to say that really, really scared me, and I think that probably prompted you to inbox me the way that you did, was when I said that, hey, we need to get him help, and if he needs to be in a house with somebody. Because I didn't know who he was in the house with, because like I said, it didn't say it in the news. So I retracted, in the text message, I retracted my statement. But the reason I said that was because I said, I was actually afraid, and most people that watch my show know that the time that a lot of these parents are getting for murdering their children, and I'm talking about, like, Sierra, I hate to tell you this, I'm talking about in ways that are worse than Ta'naejah.
Right.
I'm talking about broken necks. I'm talking about cutting off limbs and cutting off heads and sticking them in freezers, you know, drowning them. I'm just unbelievable that, like I say, parents can, and it's men and women doing this shit. As I've reported on men shooting kids with guns, killing kids because of child support, women having postpartum, whatever it is. Like I say, it's just this toxicity that we're talking about with regard to these small human beings. And I've always said, if you want good adults, you have to raise good children. Can we agree to that?
Yes.
If you want people to be good adults, you have to raise good children. And it's like, I hate where we're going in the black community. It is so bad, the fact that we can give that less of a shit about kids that we can't even get Black Lives Matter to give a shit about kids. Unless a police officer
our
shooting
kids,
them.
like, for example, in Cleveland, where I'm at, we have more bars and clubs than we have things for kids to do here. We got, jump yard. That's pretty much our biggest main attraction here for kids. There's nothing for these babies to do. But every corner you at, it's a bar, it's a strip club, you know, it's a liquor store. There's nothing for the kids up here to do.
Wow.
Like Cleveland, I would tell anybody, if you want to raise a family, Cleveland not where you want to come to, because it's not nothing for your children to do here.
Wow. And you know, and I talk to somebody all the time in the chat, and he be inboxing me. He inboxes me a lot. I'm gonna give a shout out to Brielle, but he lives out there in Cleveland, and he sends me a lot of these stories that I get. And I almost want to say, Sierra, I think he was the one that emailed me this story, because he's like, hey, this is where I live, and I wanted to know what you thought about it. And I saw it. I was like, man, I've got to give a different perspective on this story, because it just meant so much to me, you know. And I think just this month alone, I think maybe 3 of my stories might have come out of Euclid in Ohio.
Right.
Just in one area. And I'm just like, I don't know if that's indicative of that's how bad it is, or if it's just by the stroke of luck, I just happen to be getting a lot of stories from this particular area. What do you think?
No, that's how bad it is, bro. That's how bad it is.
Damn.
It's like,
wow.
These kids up here, like I said, they don't have nothing to do. And with these mothers, you know, everybody when a mother gets in trouble, everybody want to run. So where's the father? Where's the dad? You know, why isn't the dad active? you know, you got to hold some of these women accountable, because a lot of these women are single mothers.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
whoa.
A man
Stop. Can you repeat what you just said? Tommy is going to love this.
You got to
repeat
hold
that?
some of these single mothers accountable. Because if it's not a father in the picture, you still have to get that job done. You know, how come when the mother is in trouble, everybody want to run to, oh, where's the dad? Where's the dad? The dad's not doing this. When we don't know the circumstances of where the father is, whether the father was pushed out or not. You know, so a lot of these single mothers up here have a green card. You know, they have that magic, oh, I'm a single mother, I'm on the welfare, I'm on the Section 8, whatever the case may be. But then when they, oh, where's the father? The father, he ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? But nobody understands the circumstances as to why.
Wow. Oh my God. And you know what, Sierra? I like that literally has put the icing on the cake, the sprinkles, the candles, everything. The cake is done and ready to serve. I don't think look, honestly, Tommy would have loved what you said. I hope he heard that. Because the thing is all we're basically saying is that we just want us to have more accountability. Because with great reward has to come great responsibility. Heavy is the crown of the king. So if you're going to be the ruler, then there has to be a lot of responsibility that falls on the shoulders. So when somebody like Barack Obama says, well, black women are the backbone of the black community. Okay, if we're going to acquiesce to that, we're going to say, okay, fine. We get it. Fine. You're the queens. Y'all are the queens. Y'all run the black community. Black men ain't shit. We get it. But if that's the case, then those same people that claim that we are running things also have to take responsibility. It's almost kind of like,
absolutely.
It's almost kind of like when our local leadership in our cities and counties, you know, are being asked to be voted in, and they're like, okay, fine, we're gonna vote you in. We'll see what you'll do. You'll say, thank you for voting us in. I wanted the title of the governor. You know, I wanted the title of the city councilman. And then they just get in the office, and then they just kick their feet up every day, like what y'all want? What you calling my office for? What you expect me to do? Like, wait a minute, didn't you ask for the position? Like, what do you mean do what I want you to do?
Right. Somebody left a comment. If I can, I want to respond to it.
Sure.
I'm not going to be nasty, by the way, but somebody said, what's the name? That didnupdidn't take long. Why didn't y'all say this little girl before it went this far?
No. Well, okay, I'm sorry. You respond to that, and then I'm going to respond. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. So with that question, we called CPS. We called CPS several times. We went to, when we was getting custody over Rayvon Owens, we told the judge and the guardian ad litem that this little girl was being abused. They told us, for one, Ta'naejah, this is what the social worker said, Ta'naejah was not her client, and that she would pass the information along. And the judge said, we are here for Rayvon, right? So we went to the courts, we went to CPS, we went to East Cleveland Police Department when Rayvon first came home and told us that Ta'naejah was being burnt with cigarettes. We went to East Cleveland, and we requested a wellness check. We said, can you do a wellness check on this child? She's supposed to be sleeping in the closet and not getting water. She has cigarette burns. We need some people to go out and check on her. East Cleveland Police said, that's out of our jurisdiction. We will call, you need to contact Children and Family Services and let them know what's going on. But we're not going to send a squad car out. Mm-hmm. So when all this made the news and we started getting evidence, in which we have, our police report at East Cleveland mysteriously came up missing. They no longer have that. But as far as people saying, why didn't we save her? We did everything possible. We can't just go in the house and kick down the door and say, give me a child. Kidnapping on our end. There's only so much that we can do.
I 100%
when people
agree.
say, why didn't we save her? You have to understand, as us being citizens, we still have laws that we have to abide. Cuyahoga County juvenile system, and when you go into Cuyahoga County Children and Family Services, and you basically ban for these people come out and to save her, you know, what else can you do?
Let me point this out. I 100% agree with you. And guys that are listening, please hit the thumbs up. We got about 230 people watching. Hit the thumbs up for me. That's awesome. Let me Back her point up. First of all, Sierra did everything in her legal power that she could have done. So if anybody has maybe a different suggestion in the chat, I'd love to hear what you have to say. What do you guys think legally she could have done outside of what she did? Because I think that's literally about all you can do for a seed that you do not own. She can't just walk in the house and snatch that kid out somebody's hands and just walk. That's considered kidnapping, and then there's consequences to that. She could end up in jail, and then the little girl could still end up in the same situation, which then that does nobody no good. Now Rayvon is going to be one less parent. You understand? So number 2.
Right.
Initially, whose responsibility is it to take care of Ta'naejah in the first goddamn place?
Hello.
Let me say that again. Whose responsibility is it to take care of Ta'naejah, 5-year-old baby Ta'naejah, in the first place? That's her mom's responsibility, her biological mother's responsibility. And that's why I say we need to always put the onus and the responsibility square on the shoulders of where it's deserved, where it's earned. She earned the responsibility by laying down, or however it is that it happened, but brought this kid into this world. At that point, it is your God-given responsibility. They talking about God don't make no mistakes. Ain't that what they say? I'm just saying, like, I'm going to use these colloquialisms against people until they be like, you know what? Okay, maybe not in these situations, or don't use them. So if they say that these kids are a blessing and God don't make no mistakes, then God didn't make no mistakes, and this kid is a blessing, and this little girl deserved to be protected by the mother that gave birth to her.
And not only that, to hit on what you said, Ta'naejah had a guardian. The woman in the picture with the striped dress on, or shirt, her name is Sabrina McCloud. That is Ta'naejah's legal guardian. So she had custody of Ta'naejah in Virginia. When Tequila brought Ta'naejah to Ohio, Sabrina called down here and said, my daughter is here. She needs to be back in Virginia. They told her there's nothing that they can do about it. Now, she is the legal custodial guardian over Ta'naejah.
Okay.
For the whole while that she was here, you know, Ta'naejah was here, she had no contact with her actual legal guardian mom. So, you know, when everybody has opinions about how we could have did something differently, and not even so much concerning me, because I'm an adult and I know how to ignore people, but when people say, you know, let me clarify this, when Rayvon went to McDonald's, my baby caught the blues. Everywhere he went, it was grown people asking him, well, why did you go to McDonald's?
Oh,
why
hell
did you leave
no. Are you kidding me? No.
Yes, his bus driver. Let me tell you, his bus driver.
No.
Because he rides the school bus. His bus driver pulled him on the bus. The bus was full of people. And he asked, she was like, well, why didn't you try to help your sister? Mind you, he's on the school bus, right? Wow. And Rayvon kept walking. Rayvon came home in tears, and I'm talking to him, and being his legal guardian mom, I'm like, okay, let's call her. You know, let's figure this out. Why does she feel the need to check you in front of all these other kids? And I was like, Rayvon, I can get her fired. What you want me to do? That baby said, Ma, that's another black woman, and it's hard for them to get a job already. I just want her to apologize. My right hand, that's what he said. So when you have grown adults asking this child who was 15 at the time that Ta'naejah passed away.
And that's what I wanted to remind everybody.
Why didn't he do nothing?
Right, that's what I wanted to remind everybody. That was this happened 2 years ago. So he was 2 years less than where he is now. He's what, 16 now?
Yeah, he was 15. He'd be 17. So it happened last year.
Okay, excuse me. So yeah, he was 16.
Okay.
Man.
And we talking about a boy, and everybody, you know, sees Rayvon on the media. Rayvon is only, 4'11", 120 pounds soaking wet. He is small in stature, but, you know, when others hear a teenage black male, they're thinking 6'4", 6'5", you know, 200-something pounds.
Yep. No,
Rayvon is 4'11", 120. His mother is 320 by herself. Her girlfriend was 210. What do people really expect him to do in that house when you got big and bigger in that damn house?
Please say that again, because that's actually what I said. I'm like, what the hell is this boy supposed to do to them? Okay, keep Keep in mind, Sierra. Keep in mind,
Yes,
Sierra.
he did.
Keep in mind, Sierra. I actually play college sports. I'm not a small dude. I'm 6'2", 280.
Okay.
That means that bride is bigger than me.
Yeah. That's a big girl. That's a big one.
I am a grown ass man. That is a boy. What is a boy supposed to do against somebody that's bigger than me? 6'2", 280. Seriously? And
right.
it is not, wait. It'd be hard enough for him to try to stop one of them or to try to be able to hold his own against one of them. It's two of them.
Right.
Two whole big old human beings. That's insane. And that's part of why I didn't like what I saw in that courtroom proceeding with them trying to make it seem like, well, apparently it didn't seem like you cared about your sister. Dude, that's bullcrap, man. That's I hate that. I hate that. Really, really hate that. So yeah, and it looks like we lost her. She'll call back here in just a moment. But guys, that really broke my heart when I heard that, and I'm just like, no freaking way, man. Uh-oh, something's going wrong with this doggone thing. Let me see if I can refresh it here. She'll call back here in a moment. I should be able to get her back on here. Guys, bear with me just a moment.
I'm back.
Okay, yeah, like I say, so yeah, we're getting ready to round this thing down. But like I said, man, that really kills me, no pun intended, that, that they sit there and try to put onus on a kid. Like that is a freaking kid. Now, once he crosses over the threshold of what I said, the age of 18, once you cross over that threshold, then at that point you could probably start holding this person accountable for some adult things.
Right.
But that is a kid.
Yeah, he's an abused kid on top of that. The reason why I have him. So he's not just your regular teenage-year-old boy. His mindset, for one, is survival. He'd have been thrown down a flight of stairs, by trying to help Ta'naejah before. So his mind state is different from ours. He's going to do what he got to do to get, to survive. So when the altercation was going on and his mother said, get the fuck out, excuse my language, and she said, get the fuck out before the same thing happened to you, of course he's going to get out the way. And when you have two adults in that house that's promising you she's going to be fine, it's just a seizure, she's going to be fine, then they threaten you that if you try to help her, the same thing is going to happen. What is you going to do? He performed CPR on a baby that was brain dead in that house already. He cleaned the blood, the spit, everything out of that child's mouth by himself. What else do Cleveland, what else do these trolls want him to do? I think he went above and beyond for doing what he possibly could. He's 15. There's no boy that's going to say, okay, well, let me get a stethoscope and go try to listen to her heart to see if it's beating, or let me clean this blood out of her mouth so she won't choke on it. Not too many boys would know what to do in that situation, but he did. He did the very best that he could.
Not too many people in the United States, period.
Right.
How many people do you know that have their certified resuscitation license? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, but maybe a few, and it's just because they're nurses and doctors. Right.
So with the city of Cleveland and these trolls, they started calling my son a McDonald's kid and everything. And I, as a mother, like I told him, I can't go out here and fight everybody. I would try my hardest for you. Your mom don't mind getting down with nobody. I'm like, but you got tough skin and you have to learn how to ignore stupid people. Because if any adult was in your shoes, going back to when they was your age, you're going to do what your mom tell you to do. A child is going to want their mother no matter how they come. So he still had that respect and love for her, abused and all. So if your mother tell you to go sit down, you going to go sit your ass down.
Yeah. You know what, Sierra, we might have to talk offline about some things, because I've actually been through some programs in my life that I was fortunate enough to be a part of. And guys, we're getting ready to wrap this thing up here in just a little bit. But I think there's some things out there that you might take a look at that might actually be some good programs to take a look at. They're kind of like recreation, but they're teaching tools also, kind of like a development program for the youth. And it's a really awesome program, but I'll talk to you more about it offline. But these are the last points I wanted to make. The last point that I wanted to make before I make my second and last point is, if you guys remember Ta'naejah Day Garrett, because they actually tried to tie these two stories together to say that they were very similar in what happened, because I don't know how I remember this, Sierra. This is not the same Sierra, but there was a chick named Sierra Day who was the mother of Ta'naejah Day Garrett, and her father's name was Michael Garrett. And that little girl was killed by her mother and her boyfriend because the father actually went through the same thing, I think, in Ohio, and he was trying to get legal custody of her. He had been trying his best to try to get custody of Ta'naejah Day Garrett, who was 4 years old. And up until the point that they were supposed to go to court, I think 4 days before the court date, where they were going to make a judgment, the mother and the boyfriend killed her.
Right.
So they related these stories similarly because at the beginning of that news story, if you might have heard it when I first played it, they were just finishing saying Ta'naejah Day Garrett's name, and I know why, because like I say, when I initially did the story, they led into Ta'naejah's story with Anaya's story, and like I say, it's tragic because like I say, it's like y'all have done all y'all can legally do. So at the end of the day, this is the last point that I wanted to make, which is what really frightened me. What is this boy supposed to do, especially when they are given such lenient sentences to these parents and to these people that are killing children, to these thugs, to these gang members, to whoever it is that are harming children, to all of them? What is somebody like Rayvon supposed to do when his mother gets out of jail knowing that she's in jail because he testified against her? That's what scared me for him.
Right.
Like what? Like why would she not, if she did it to a 5-year-old kid that was maybe a fraction of his size and his ability? If they did it to somebody that innocent, why would they not try to turn around and do it to him? And that's what scares me for that young brother.
Very true. I said the same thing in court. I was like, however much time y'all gonna give her, y'all need to make it long. Because if she get out and she try to come for my son, my video gonna be on your page next. I swear it's gonna be up there.
Yeah.
You're gonna have my mug shot. I'm gonna wear my black or my orange real proud.
Damn.
But like seriously, we stay in a state where they're so lenient. You know, people are getting 10 years, 8 years, 15 years for murder. You know, my biggest thing is fine. That's my goal in life. If I can get my son grown and on his own and on the right path, then I done live for me. You know, so that's my biggest fear. What if she don't get enough time? And as far as family, you know, how do I know that he don't have people in his own family looking at him like, oh, you're not loyal, you a snitch, you're the reason why your mom in jail, you know? So it's hard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. And all I could do is hope for the best. And like I said, man, it seems like you guys are on the right path. You know, like I said, we'll definitely, because I've done some youth counseling. I was a youth counselor for a little while. So, you know, not only do I want to be an asset to you if you ever need it, but I definitely want to make sure it just gets you some additional information about some things that might just kind of further him along with his, you know, with his development as a young man and moving into life. I mean, because they say when they say it takes a village, you know, to raise a kid. I mean, I'm talking about, I can't tell you how many hands have actually touched my life outside of my parents, from neighbors to youth programs to churches to just so many people that just, here, let me pitch in, let me do this, let me pitch in, let me do that. So I want to just let you know and thank you for not only for joining us, but just to let you know that we'll definitely do what we can to, if nothing else, be a conduit for some information for you. And we just want to back you up and support you. It's much appreciated. Yeah, we just want to back you up and support you. So we definitely appreciate you coming on to the show, okay?
Thank you so much, and you have a great one, and thank you for letting me clear my baby's name. It's much appreciated.
It is an absolute honor. Anything else that you want to say
Oh yeah,
people watching?
I know you know they was found guilty. Did you know Ursula? She was found guilty. 1 count of murder, 2 counts of reckless homicide, 7 counts of child endangerment, 2 counts of felonious assault. Tequila was found guilty of 2 counts of reckless homicide and 7 counts of child endangerment. And their sentencing is July 10th at 9 a.m. in Cleveland, Ohio. Downtown where the jail at, courtroom 21C.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Because I just showed the arraignment of one of XXXTentacion's potential murderers. If I can grab that feed, I think we'll probably try to stream it on the show, man. Because I definitely want to hear what the final verdict is on that in the sentencing.
All right, sounds good. You keep in contact, brother, and thank you so much.
It's an honor. And tell Rayvon we said thank you. We love him, and we're hoping the best for him. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up what we are doing here, man. I'd like to thank everybody for coming through to the So Do You Dig, man. It just blows my mind.